right. Let me introduce four of my mentees who are also joining in now. Christina, Kat, Bino, and Fabian, do turn on your cameras. All right. There we are. Excellent. It's so good to see all of you all. Now, a quick background for all of you. Christina is from Singapore, a mother and a very hardworking woman that I've met. I'm really proud of Christina. She's also achieved one MDRT in one case. Am I right, Christina? Yes, fantastic. Absolutely proud of you. She's done very well, and we've spent a lot of time having conversations. Kat's from Hong Kong, and she's been in the business for many, many years. A veteran, someone who a lot of people look up to. Fabian's one of these young, very energetic boys from Singapore as well. I've had a lot of fun talking to Fabian over the last few years. And Bino is an ex-banker who's turned into an advisor. And her specialization, if I'm not wrong, is corporate financial planning. Yep, I remember that. Because Bino loves sitting down with board of directors, and she likes sitting down with the C-suite guys and HR directors. So she's having that fun. And I wanted all four of them to share their thought process into 2023. Guys, you see, 2022 was a unique year, but 2023 looks a little ambiguous and it looks a little different. So I wanted to ask all four of you a few questions, right? I wanted to make sure that advisors get a perspective from other advisors from around the world. We today live in a very global, I would say we live in a very global world. And something that's happening in Singapore will affect you in Indonesia. Something that's happening in India will affect you in China. Something that's happening in China will affect you in the US. And we all are all over the world in terms of how our clients behave and etc. So let me start by asking a question. I have written down some questions that I really wanted to ask you. I want to make sure I didn't lose out on any of those questions, right? So I've written these down. Let me start with Chris, right? Christina, I want to ask you a very simple question. If you could go back into time, right? What would you change with your business? If you could go back in time, how long have you been in the business now, Christine?
9 years.
9 years. If you could go back 9 years, what did you wish you knew that you know today?
Dr. Sanjay, I would simplify my sales speech. That's one thing that I've learned. And I've learned how it becomes so powerful when I can leave the complexity behind, because I'm transferring that complexity to my client. But when I simplify my sales speech, it becomes so much clearer for the client, and the buy-in is also stronger. So I was working with this, especially when the concept is quite broad and complex, like, for example, legacy planning. So I was working with this family for over 5 years, talking about legacy planning, and the conversation never got anywhere. But this year, I used the legacy planning pyramid framework that you've taught us, and that helps me to focus and simplify the conversation to what really matters for the client. In this case, it's income accumulation, income preservation, and income distribution. And I've also learned to showcase my specialization by giving various relevant case studies to support the recommendation. So this gives the high net worth client confidence that I'm the right advisor that they can trust with the bigger amount. Now, in the past, I have made the mistake of focusing too much on the complexity around tax and legal. And that's the reason why the conversation couldn't get anywhere. And coincidentally, this is the case that allows me to achieve one MDRT in one case, which I would never have thought was possible before.
Okay, so let me summarize this. For everyone that's listening in, I want you to realize what Chris is trying to say. So there are 3 things that she said. Number 1, you need to simplify your presentation, because if your presentation is not simple, your clients will get confused, and you're going to not get a definitive answer from clients who are confused. Number 1. The second thing is, we focus on areas in our business that are not in our business. For example, giving legal advice or tax advice is not our job. So when we're doing estate planning, or when we're doing inheritance planning, or we're doing multi-generational planning, we get involved with writing wills and setting up trusts and giving tax advice. Guys, that is not our job. We are financial advisors. Our job is to give proper financial advice, not legal advice, not taxation advice. Our job is to talk about how retirement will affect the estate, how inheritance will affect the estate, how charity will affect the estate. And there are so many elements of estate planning that are related to our business where the legal aspect and the tax aspect does not affect the family. Because most wealthy families already have lawyers, CPAs, and tax consultants already working with them. You trying to compete with them actually makes you stand against these advisors who they already trust, right? So I'm glad, Chris, you brought that up, because a lot of people don't realize it. We are competing with their advisors for no reason, when we should actually be working with their advisors to help them achieve their objectives, right? So I'm glad you brought that up. The third thing that you brought up, and I truly like that, is the fact that you spoke about case studies. A lot of people don't realize case studies are probably one of the most powerful tools of conversation. So you have concepts, but case studies are very, very important. If you don't have case studies, learn to borrow case studies from other advisors. But case studies are very important for clients to be able to relate to that solution or to that problem. So, Chris, I'm so glad you shared that, right? Kat, you've been in the business a very long time. Now, how many years have you been in the business, Kat?
Oh, 22 years.
22 years. Guys, that's why I told you, Kat's a veteran. She's been in the business pretty much from the start of this era. Kat, so I do want to ask you one strategy, right? What was that one high net worth strategy that you used this year that worked best for you?
I think being the friend is my strategy. I know a lot of high net worth clients, but these years I become friends with them, so I can explore more business opportunity. I think all of you have this experience. After presenting a proposal to your client, they have no further action. If you keep asking me whether they accept the plan, maybe they will avoid you. But if you are their friend, they keep hanging out with you and talking with you, and they will hang out with you and share her daily life. You will seize the opportunity to sell to sell them, because actually sometimes all things they know, but just whether you can catch the moment to talk to them. If you become the friends of them, you can catch the moment. So I think being a friend to them is very important. Just yes, what you told us. Yes.
Yes, Kat, I actually agree with you on that. So guys, we are a relationship business, right? So yes, our transactions help us earn money, but our relationships help us become rich. Our transactions help us earn money, but our relationships are what help us become rich. So if there's one thing you take away from Kat's statement, learn to build a relationship with your clients. We are so focused on trying to get appointments that with an appointment, think about this, appointments are always stressful. You have an appointment with a doctor, you have an appointment with a dentist, you have an appointment with a lawyer, you have an appointment with your chartered accountant, you have an appointment with people where you feel super stressed or you have an agenda, etc. As financial advisors, or as life advisors, as we call them, right? It's not about appointments, it's about meeting. You need to learn to meet. You meet with your friends, you meet with your family, you meet with your colleagues, you go for reunions, right? It's a meetup. You like to do meetups. If there's one thing you take away from Kat's statement, I want to take up the ability of having meetings. The more meetings you have, not appointments, but meetings, the more meetings you have, the more productive you will be, the more successful you will be. So instead of trying to achieve appointments from clients, I want you to learn to have meetings with people, because meetings allow you to have a more informal conversation. So Kat, thank you very much for sharing that, because people don't realize friends buy from friends. And even those friends who say, I don't like to mix business and relationship, trust me, they will start buying from you. If you are a good friend, they will have that very open conversation with you and they will buy from you. You just need to be a perfect friend to them, right? You have to be a good advisor, and it does work. So I do believe that friendship plays a very important role when you're working the high net worth space. So that brings me to Fabian. Fabian, I want to ask you a question, right? Just taking over from Kat. What's the one method that you use to stay connected with your existing clients, especially when it comes towards the end of the year? How do you stay in touch with these clients?
Yeah, Dr. Sanjay, I think I really agree with Kat, because one method that I use is to ensure that I'm always part of my client's life, like sending birthday texts, knowing their anniversary, knowing when their kids are having exams, knowing when they are going holidays. So I still remember I have one client named Jo. She was my hairdresser when I was in my 20s, but she went back to Malaysia. But yet I still continue to follow up with her, send greetings on my Facebook. And I remember last year, December, I was finding for my final screen, I still needed some case. And she unexpectedly texted me saying that she's back in Singapore. She also thanked me, for all the text messages that I've been sending out to her. And she felt that I had been through all her life. So she actually felt that, she had been cutting hair for many clients and many financial advisors. But she mentioned that I'm the only advisor that makes it so special for her. So just last year, I went to the salon.
I'm so glad you shared this, because a lot of us lose touch with people after 20 years, right? Think about it. We have lost touch with all our classmates from high school. And when we go to a reunion and all of a sudden you realize some of your classmates are doing so well, and you're wondering, why are they not your clients, right? Guys, going to university reunions, your high school reunions is a great place for prospecting. It's a great place to rebuild those connections that you've lost. Please remember one thing. We always love connecting with people from our past. We always love connecting with people from our past because we always love to know what they have been up to. So there's one question that you will be asked when you go for your reunion, when you go for those parties, etc. You will be asked a question. What do you do? And at that time, the way you answer that question will affect the way they rank you in their brain, right? So remember one thing, when someone's asking you, what do you do? They're basically trying to rank you on terms of how much attention or how much respect do I give you, right? So when you're doctors, lawyers, CEOs, etc., your ranking is higher and then it slowly goes down and down. And that's the truth. Guys, let's be practical. It's about being practical, right? Insurance advisors are pretty much at the bottom of that list of ranking. So be very careful on how you answer that question. You need to practice that answer. So what do you do is a very, very important question. And I want you all to think about this. It's not about being proud or etc., but it's about being able to hold on to attention by giving a very unique answer or by giving an answer that allows you to stand out, because they're trying to find a title. You have to remember, they're trying to find a title. They're trying to find, are you a CEO? Are you a professional? Are you this? Are you that? They're basically trying to find a title, right? So what you do, that question is probably one of the most difficult questions to answer when you go into a public setting. So, but Fabian has gone out of the way to stay in touch with someone for so long, right? Almost a decade since he was 20, I can tell you that for sure. But he stayed in touch with someone for almost a decade. And now that person has become a client, from what I understand. Am I right, Fabian?
Yes, I think that day when I went on to the salon, she also referred her boss to me. So that was a big case. Yes.
There you go. See, you even get recommended, right? So guys, remember one thing. Relationships allow you to get recommended. So a lot of people say, Sanjay, how do you get more clients? How do you get recommended? Relationships allow you to be recommended. I'll give you a simple example. One of my biggest clients in Indonesia. So I just mentioned just before we started the panel, you remember I mentioned that I had a presentation with a family which was worth $300 million, not rupiah. Somebody did ask, was it US dollars or rupiah? It's $300 million. The client that I met with, and he was introduced to me by another client of mine, whose net worth is about $100 million. So he recommended me his net worth is about 100 million. He recommended me to sit down with a client whose net worth is about $300 million. So guys, I want you all to understand this, that recommendations allow you to work with a bigger client. You get recommended up, you get referred down. Keep this in mind. Referral work down market. So you can get a referral from a boss to his secretary, but you get recommended from the secretary to the boss. Write this down, guys. You will get referred from the boss to the secretary, but you'll get recommended from the secretary to the boss. So if you want to work in a bigger market, learn to get recommended. If you want to work with smaller and smaller clients, very simple, ask for referrals. If you want to work with smaller clients, you want more volume clients, ask for referrals. But if you want to work with specialized clients, you want to work with high net worth clients, you have to get recommended into the high net worth space. And if you don't pick this up point, if you don't pick up this point, you're going to lose out on this opportunity of a lifetime. Referrals work down market. Recommendations work up market. So keep this in mind, guys. The other thing that I want to ask, and I want to ask Binu, right? Binu, I know that your specialization is corporate financial planning, right? So why is it important for advisors to learn corporate financial planning? I mean, why did you choose that as specialization? And could you just tell me why advisors should learn that?
First of all, thank you, Dr. Sanjay, for having us here. To answer that question, let me take you through my story. As you mentioned, I'm an ex-banker. So when I started in this profession, I was the one-stop shop for all financial needs for my clients. I used to do loans, I used to do investment, PMS, AIF, you name it, and I used to do it.
By the way, these acronyms, a lot of people don't understand. So PMS stands for Portfolio Management Services. What is the other one? AIS?
AIF, Alternate Investment Portfolio.
Alternative Investment Portfolio. So guys, you know, this is another problem that we have as financial advisors. We love our acronyms, right? So we love our 3-letter acronyms and 4-letter acronyms and 2-letter acronyms. And, you know, we like to talk about SA and, you know, sum assured, and we like to talk about PTs and premium terms and IRR. And our clients, a lot of our clients don't know what is IRR. They don't know what is NPV. They don't know what is NAV. They actually don't know that, right? But we like to sound smart. So we use all these very complicated words. If there's one piece of advice you take away and that is very useful for you in this business, please don't use jargons. Almost all the high net worth families that you will ever work with are very good in their own business, but they don't, or they probably will not understand financial services. So they don't understand words like PMS, AIF, or what was it? AI? See, even I don't remember what it was.
Alternate Investment Fund, AIF.
Yeah, AIF. There you go. So even I don't know what it is, right? And that's what I'm trying to tell you, that jargons don't translate. What does translate is emotions, feelings, your genuine love, your genuine concern, your genuine advice. That translates. Your body language. I know we have moved into this, what we call era of digital world, right? Or where we're doing Zoom calls, etc. Please remember one thing. As you start working in the high net worth space, face-to-face meetings are very important. So I do want to make this point very clear. I'm sure you're doing very well in the digital world. However, if you truly want to do exceptionally well in the high net worth space, please remember your body language plays a very important role when you're meeting these people. This body language does not translate through digital media. I mean, if you think about it, right? We have 5 of us right now. We have 4 of us who are in this session right now. And all 5 of us, how many of us are using our hands? None. Except me. Think about it, right? Chris, Fabian, Binu, Kat, none of y'all have used your hand even once. Do you realize? And I use my hands all the time because I'm trying to bring body language into a digital world. So guys, I want all of you all to remember this. So whether you're watching this on Facebook or you're on Zoom or wherever you are watching this from, body language plays a very important role in our business. And it's very difficult to communicate body language digitally. However, body language in the real world is very easy to, your genuine body language will play a very important role in that conversation, because it's very difficult to keep practicing how to move your hands. You only have that much space, right? And you have to make sure your hands are moving in this much space. You're trying to be explicit. You're trying to make a point. You're trying to point at something and you're trying to say, this is important and this is not important. Exactly. You see, we don't use our hands because we are always sitting like that, right? So we're always holding our hands together. And that's a point that I do want to make, that in our business, body language plays a very important role. How genuine you are with your advice plays a very important role. Guys, before we exit and we go into our Q&A session, right, with all the advisors that are watching in, any last thoughts that you want to share? So, Chris, you gave us a great idea. Fabian, you gave a great idea. Bino and Kat, thank you for your time. But I did want to take out that one idea from each one of you, right? Any last piece of advice that you want to leave everyone? So if there was one piece of advice that you could give to everyone that's watching in, there are about 2,000 people who are watching this session, what would be your one advice to a new advisor, right? So let's start with what would be your one advice to a new advisor? Kat, could you give one advice? If you were a new advisor, what advice would you give to a new advisor, Kat?
Okay. Okay. I think we should always invest ourselves every year. I will reserve a fund to educate myself with the hottest topic. So when I talk to my friend, I always have hottest topic and detail and the detail inside. So
nice.
They keep talking with me with a very interesting news story. So I think it is a good point to have a good relationship with friends and
fantastic. Kat, that's a great idea. So guys, Kat invests in herself by keeping a fund aside every year where she would go and learn something new. It's a great way, first of all, to network, because when you go to a class to learn something new, you will meet new people, number one. Number two, you will hear new stories. Those new stories are great to continue having conversations with your friends, so that when your friend asks how you're doing, you don't say the same, right? I'm fine. Anything new? Nah, everything's the same. You want to have a nice story, right? People love stories. So Kat, thank you for that. Now I'll ask Binu. Binu, one quick advice if you were a new advisor in this business.
Use a lot of case studies and your personal story, anything which has happened with you. People love case studies and stories. So whenever you have to make any concept presentation, use that.
If you're a new advisor in this business, if there's one thing you take away, Chris mentioned it, Bino is highlighting exactly the same. She's emphasizing it as learn case studies, personal experiences, stories sell. That's a fact, right? Facts tell, stories sell. So facts will tell you what they are, but stories will sell the product that you provide. So facts tell, stories sell. We all are sales advisors. We all are in the profession of selling products. We are always in the profession of selling our advice. Stories sell. Let's keep that in mind. Vivian, if you had to give advice to a new advisor, what would be the one advice that you give them?
I think I want to apply the concept of rich people buy happiness. You know, all along I have one client that I've been following up for 5 years. I've been talking to him about death coverage being important, critical illness being important. But once I changed my script after learning from Dr. Sanjay, and the client became so open that, you know, this investment plan can give him a stream of income, how happy his children will be. So this concept really helped me to open up bigger cases for my clients as well.
So guys, this is a fact. I mean, I've said this over and over again. For those of you who have not heard one of my sessions before, Fabian has actually said my favorite words. Fear sells fast. Happiness sells big. Fear sells fast. Happiness sells big. You have to remember one thing. People will spend more money for happiness than for fear. So if you scare your clients, if you sell fear to your clients, they'll probably buy a product from you, but they won't buy big. They'll just buy whatever makes that fear small. However, think about it. We always spend more money buying a house, even though we can't afford it, because it makes us happy. We always buy a car bigger than we can afford because it makes us happy. We all spend more money on our travel than we can actually afford because it makes us happy. Happiness sells big. Please keep this in mind. Clients want to be happy, not scared. Stop making your clients scared. Learn to give happiness solutions to them. Tell them what the future will look like. Tell them how the present can get better. People want to know how they can become happier and how financial planning makes them happier. Fear sells fast. Happiness sells big. I cannot emphasize that enough. And thanks, Vivian, for sharing that. I'm glad you did say that. Chris, coming to you. One quick advice to a new advisor.
I would say go for a specialization. Before joining the BCC program, I'm a generalist. And in fact, I take pride in that because it gives me a feel-good factor that I am holistic and I have broad knowledge in all areas of insurance. But the feel-good factor lies with me. It doesn't create any impression for my client. But when I go for specialization, I'm able to hone and sharpen my sales pitch so that my client end up saying that, Chris, that's a very good point. I've never heard it from that angle. And it gets them started to do the implementation. You see, a generalist carry many tools in their toolbox, but most of them are probably only half sharp, or maybe some of them are blunt. But a specialist only carry a few tools, but they are so sharp that it will not fail to do the job.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. You know, when I started this business, I was told, Sanjay, why don't you become a one-stop shop for everyone, right? That's how I started the business. So guys, Chris is absolutely correct. When you enter into this business, you will hear people saying about becoming the one-stop shop, becoming that one solution provider for your clients. And I realized the more I tried to be a one-stop shop, the lesser my clients were happier, because I cannot provide all the services by myself. I cannot. Think about it. There are so many services that our clients need that we cannot provide. And we cannot live up to those service standards. We cannot live up to that because as an individual, there's only so much you can do. Yes, as an organization. So if you're running an organization, you can become a one-stop shop. But most of us are individual advisors, right? I'm an individual advisor. I'm very proud about the fact that I'm an individual advisor. I'm not an organization, but I'm a specialist. I'm a specialist with what I do. Specialization allows you to become recognized for the work that you do. Think about it. You can be a hospital with a lot of different doctors. That's an organization. So you can become a one-stop shop as an organization. But as a doctor, you want to become a specialist. So think about this, guys. Specialization does allow you to become better. Specialization does allow you to be a lot more disciplined. And it also allows you to be a lot more happier because you're focusing on things you like. Try thinking about school, right? You remember when you were in school, you had to study 8 subjects, 9 subjects in high school, but you were only good in one. And don't you wish that your whole day you only spent studying that one subject because that's a subject you got high marks in and you enjoyed it? That's the same in our business, right? We have 8 different potential outcomes, or we've got 4 specializations. Don't try to learn them all. Try to learn the one that makes you happy. Try to learn the one where you're best at. Try to learn the one that you can specialize in and become happier every day. Because our business is about being happy. None of you who have joined this business plan to leave this business next year. You're going to stay in this business for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years to come. What do you want to be doing for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years? Do you want to be doing just anything and everything? Or do you want to focus on the one thing that you're truly good at? Chris, just out of curiosity, Chris, what is your specialization that you have chosen?
I chose risk management because I find that's the one that gives me most joy in talking
Fantastic.
about.
Okay, so Chris has taken risk management. I know Binu is in corporate financial planning. Vivian, what's your specialization?
Mine is in risk management as well.
Also risk management. Okay, and Kat, what's your specialization?
Risk management.
Also risk management. So guys, I want you to realize, right? So we've got Chris is into risk management, Vivian is into risk management, Kat is into risk management, Binu is into corporate financial planning. It doesn't matter what your specialization is. you can become a successful practitioner if you choose the right specialization for yourself. So guys, do spend some time to relook at your business. Thank you very much, Binu. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Vivian. And thanks, Kat, for joining in and sharing this. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. God bless. And I'll get to see you guys in 2023, right? So February, we've got Mastermind in Singapore. I'm looking forward to spending time with all 4 of you, and we're going to be rebuilding our 2023. So guys, thank you very much for joining in. I'll let you guys go ahead. All right.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.